What's up, everybody? Man, thank you guys tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I'm really excited for today's episode because, I don't know where it's going to go. We can go a lot of different directions.
Was that? I feel like that's a warning. Maybe.
You know, it's going to be a good call when your guest goes, "Is it all right if I fucking cuss on the show?"
It depends on what we talk about. I mean, real estate is I'm so passionate about real estate that just sometimes I go crazy and explode.
Hey, so I would love for you to just give a little background, introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of dive in. I do want to touch on a few things. There's just a lot of, I mean, you're a fascinating person. So
thank you. You say that to everyone, but that's okay. My name's Jen Murtland, and I'm a real estate agent and an investor. My favorite color is blue, like a royal blue, not like a navy or light. But some things that, let's think, I was a wholesaler before I was an investor. So we wholesaled short sales. And for the first year of real estate, well, I got in more trouble than I do now because realtors, we don't do things that make sense, or we're not allowed to do things that make sense.
Right.
And I've traveled around the world while running my real estate business. So a lot of people think that this is pre-COVID. I almost actually got stuck in South Africa when COVID hit. And one of my friends did get stuck for 6 months.
No
so I'm glad I
way.
didn't get stuck there because we can go on.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't imagine.
I've done a lot of crazy things. I look like a suburban mom from Ohio, but I've swum with sharks, got tear gassed by the police, just generally making a ruckus usually is what happens with a smile.
I like it with a smile. I like it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Suburban mom from Ohio. So yes, you are from Ohio.
Yep.
You're in
the nasty natty Cincinnati.
We had a mastermind event there when leading up to the Derby, which I think the Derby's this weekend too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but that's in Kentucky.
Yeah. So we stayed in Cincinnati just because, it was just cost-wise for the event.
It's an hour and a half away.
Yeah, I know. We had to make the drive, and we went both days. We went Friday and Saturday, so it was
nice.
It was fun. We had a wonderful time. Been to the Derby, I think, twice. I've been twice, and it's awesome. So
that's fun. I've never been there.
You live right there. You haven't been?
No.
You've been on the other side of the planet, but you haven't been to the Derby.
I've literally been around the world and never been to the Derby. Yes.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit, how you did get into real estate. You mentioned on the investing side. I know you've, developed an outbound kind of approach to the business.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about, what got you in, and then, even still, teeing up opportunities on the residential side.
Sure. So I've actually always loved real estate. I love the finance side of real estate and the investment side of it. And when I was younger, when we would go on vacation, I can specifically remember, and my mom thinks this is the best story. So when me and her were in California, in San Francisco, and this was back when there were newspapers. And I got out the newspaper and I circled the open houses. I was like, Mom, we have to go look at these houses. I think I was 11 or something like that. And she's like, you're the weirdest little girl I know. And we went. I mean, I love it. I just love the housing side. The people side, I could just not have to deal with. So that's why I have a partner. Alan deals with them. But yeah, the investment side of it, I really love. So I've always wanted to be in real estate. I tried to, I did my MBA on doing an investment company where we would take money and invest it and have a full service rental. We would fix and flip and do all types of things, and have tenants and manage all those tenants and things. But then I realized that wasn't exactly it either. But to be a realtor, what I was seeing was that you had to be old, and you had to wear a lot of makeup, and you had to wear shoulder pads. And I was like, I don't want to do that, Yeah. Don't remember that was the average age of a realtor back then was I don't know.
73.
Yeah. 110. Right. So then I just realized I was 28 and I was like, fuck it. I'm doing it. I don't care. And then I told my mom, I was like, I want to wholesale short sales. And she was like, okay. And she helped me.
What time frame was this?
This was in 2008.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
and I did my MBA like right before that. So I was 28 years old and I was like, I'm doing it. And she was like, okay, I'll help you. So it was awesome. So she processed all the short sales because I could never do that. And I just went and started knocking on doors. And I was like, has the bank told you that you have another option? Like you could do a short sale. And they'd be like, no. I'm like, can I come in? And then we bought a lot of investments and it was great.
Helped
a lot of people, you know?
Yeah.
So it was good. And then 2 years later, the banks were starting to be a little grumpy. They felt like they were like leaving money on the table, which they weren't, but whatever. And because they thought like because part of our contract was that I would make the spread. So like I would offer to buy it from the homeowner and to negotiate that deal with the bank. But the only way I would buy it is if I could sell it to somebody else and make a spread. Yeah. And it was all disclosed and everything was legal and all this stuff. But then the bank was like, well, we want that spread and you have to list it with a realtor. And I'm like, what you don't understand is like these people, they want it to be easier than that. Like they don't want to go through listing it or they would have just done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But whatever. Anyway, so I was like, I'll just get my real estate license. And now I've had it since 2010. And here we are.
Did you find that it was just certain banks were a lot friendlier or as they all got that way? Kind of
but most of them got that way. There were some that had like really easy paperwork and some that were a pain. But like Bank of America, one time, because we could sometimes get cash for keys.
Yep.
So one time, one of my the sellers got $15,000. I was like, dude, you should take this money, but also that means they really messed up. You're getting this much money. He was like, I think I'm going to take the money. He had been living in his house for over 2 years without paying.
Wow.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, they messed up. But it was cool, being able to help, people in that situation. There was a lot of shadiness going on during that time. But it was still, we rode through that as well. You just brought back some memories of doing the same thing and, really helping people out of that situation, but also, keeping our business afloat. We had to go in and collect upfront fees just to maintain cash flow during that time frame. Yeah. We were collecting $1,000 checks up front.
From the seller?
From the seller.
How did they have the money?
Well, they weren't making their payment. So that's what we would say, for us to be able to.
Funny, John.
We had to. That's the only way we could survive, right? We had to collect those $1,000 checks to keep cash flow coming in to make payroll. And so it was just, it was survival during that time. Anybody that was in the game then.
Yeah. At that time I was doing, I was working because I wanted to start this business. So I was like working for one of my friends who had like a medical billing company. So we get up at like 5 a.m. and start working at the medical billing and then be done at like noon and then start doing real estate until like midnight. And I would literally like every day, like fall asleep at my computer. I think my apartment was like $400 a month. It was trash.
Yeah.
But
here you are.
I am now in this fancy place. Look at it.
Hey, so fast forward to today. I know things are a little bit different. And we'll chat about that later. But kind of your role with the business is outbound prospecting.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit how that's changed over the years. And does it still work?
Of course it works. Anything that you do consistently over time will work, right?
Yes.
So, oh man, back in the day though, we had a lot. There were a lot more expireds. Like it was just like picking apples off a tree, the low hanging apples,
Right.
Like it was nice. And me and my friends, my other friends, we were Mike Ferry trained. So he was like one of my first coaches. So what we would do is we would write each other like $500 checks and send them. And if we didn't turn in our numbers that day to each other, the other one would just like cash it without any questions.
That's a powerful, stick and carrot that's a powerful stick, right?
Yeah.
Writing that check. So, Cliff Freeman?
No.
Okay. So Cliff, he's one of the top, at EXP, from the agent attraction side of things. He's the one that got Al to come in, and then obviously Al, Jay, Mike, Kendary, Stasik. So, but Cliff, he coached for Jay and Michael at NAEA. He was the second coach, and he was instrumental in my training when I came on board and started coaching on the coaching side. I relied heavily on him. He's like one of the smartest. He's one of the smart. He's like I can just sit and listen to. I'm like, wow, he blows my mind just how smart he is.
Awesome.
But what he would do is he would have his clients write a letter to their family and send it to him. And if they didn't do what they said they were going to do, he would send that letter to the to the spouse. And it was along the lines kind of like, I let you down. I didn't show up. I didn't keep my commitment. I'm not doing what's best for this family type of like,
that's what you have to do.
Yeah. So creating that, right? So I love the $500 check to, $100. You can be like, okay.
No, it has to be, and they can be different amounts because it does have to be, the first check that I had to write was to the co-host on my podcast, the Real Estate Fight Club. My very first coach was my co-host, Monica Weekly.
Yeah.
And at the time I was married, and my ex-husband is the cheapest man alive. He will tell you, I'm not talking shit, but he will tell you this. And so she knew this because she knew him. And she's like, you need to write a check to me, and then I will cash it, and I will call him and tell him that you didn't do your job and that I had to cash this check. And I was like, I'm always going to do my job. I was like, he can never, that check can never be cashed. And that's what made me realize that oh, okay, well, if I have something that's more painful than doing the work,
right,
then I will do the work quickly, Did
that force you to build that habit? Because to be able to build that consistency?
And she also made me this little board that was so cute. It had 30 magnets because I had to talk to 30 people every day. And at first it would take me a whole day to talk to 30 people. Now I can do it in 4 hours, only because there's not as many. I used to be able to do it in 2.5. But so I would move the magnet and she would come and check on me and be like, I don't see that many magnets moved. I'm like, I'm working, I'm trying, I'm going. And then I got introduced to Vulcan 7. And that made it a lot easier because then I didn't have to hand dial, find the numbers, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
so it was better. Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Nolly? Yeah, accountability is key. Absolutely. So building that habit, and I know you don't have to have it today. So today, what are you seeing the big difference? I mean, is the connection rate less and less people picking up their phone? What are you seeing?
I think, there's not as there's not as many expired. So sure. I've expanded. I have always done for sale by owners and expireds. So now I also do for rent by owners, pre-foreclosure, circle prospecting, which I didn't used to but now I've seen that circle prospecting is actually really good now. And all of that can be in the Vulcan that I use because they pull all those numbers for me. I think other systems work. I've used Cole Realty before too. I just like having it in one system. Vulcan's better numbers. But I also text. I don't know if you're allowed to.
I think so.
I think it depends.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So if I know it's their cell phone, they don't answer, but they're like, hey, this is, and they say who it is and that's who I'm calling, then I'll just send a text. But I think basically cold calling, it's don't be a douche. And you'll be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. Just don't be a douche.
Nice.
Be nice.
Be nice.
Be nice. They're okay, if they get upset and they're like, why are you calling me and whatever? I'd be like, well, I'm calling about your house. And I have a very nice phone voice. I'm not as
aggressive.
I was trying to think of a nicer word. I'm just nicer on the phone, especially that first contact. And so it's usually fine.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think text, I mean, go to the behavior, right? So I don't answer my phone. There's only a handful of people that I'll immediately pick up for.
Right.
But I do listen to voice messages.
Yeah, I leave messages. If I know it's them, I will leave a message, and then I'll just be like, hey, I'm going to text you if that's easier.
Yep.
And then I text them.
I saw that, and I think it's, generational too, right? So my first experience with that was because we were always heavy, hardcore, hit the phones, call, that was kind of our MO, right? 04, 05, 06, 07. I mean, we're just boom, boom, boom. Well, then my first experience was that when Holly got into the business and, 10, 11, 12, 13 time frame, and she did everything via text, right?
Oh, yeah.
Started everything via text. And I was, at first I was like, no, that's the wrong way to do it.
To talk to people.
Then I was like, holy shit, that's working. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something there. I think you just have to look at behavior and how people behave and how they respond.
And it does. Yeah. And it does depend on who's on the other end, right? Like they will if you do all the ways, then they will respond the way that they're most comfortable communicating. So then you just carry on the conversation that way.
Yeah. One of the things that just drives me batshit crazy is like, hey, I can't get a hold of anybody. Well, did you leave a message? Did you leave a message?
Did you door knock?
Did you text?
Did you how many
Facebook
times
message
did you call? Right.
Did you find them on Instagram? Did you DM them?
Oh my God, you're gonna
get
me on my soapbox.
What are all the ways?
Right.
And so that's just trying to be resourceful. They're just not trying hard enough to establish that contact.
No, I think they're actually just trying is the problem.
Gotcha. So what do you mean by that?
What I mean? It's like trying. Like, don't try. Like, do it or don't do it. I don't care which one it is, but like, which one are you going to do?
Right.
So like, if you have a lead that you want to get a hold of, and this is so like old school, but like if you put it on a piece of paper and you put the commission on the side, let me tell you how hard you're going to work. Super hard, rather than hiding behind your computer and your database and all your crap. You know what I mean? Get fucking out there.
You know what we used to do, and this was like when we had a bunch of listings, and that was the time, things were expiring. You had to get price reduction calls. The motivation to make that call is we put the dollar amount that phone call represented. Meaning, if we got the price reduction, what was the dollar? We knew, hey, we know if we can get it here, it'll sell. What is that dollar amount? And we would write we would write 123 Main Street, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, $6,000.
Right.
So when you're looking at, okay, well, priority wise, what do? I don't know. What has the biggest dollar amount next to it?
Right.
Why don't you do that first?
The one you do. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like there's too much stuff. Personally, I think there's too much stuff on our computer. Like, I think it's good to write some things down sometimes, Yeah. And have that, especially if you're motivated. Like if you have a hot lead and you wrote down that it's worth $6,000, or in some of these markets, it's like worth 20 or 30 grand. That's insane, right? But like, I mean, good for them. But not in Ohio. We don't deal with stuff.
not in Oklahoma.
No. So when you write it down, what's that?
$3,000 at best.
Yeah, right. So like when you write down what that's worth, you're going to be more, I like to call it pleasantly persistent. You're going to be more persistent about getting in touch with that person so that you can help them. That. And the other mindset shift that I realized was the barrier to entry to being a realtor is so low that the chances of them having a bad experience is really high, like super high.
Right.
So if you don't get a hold of them, they're going to have a bad experience. Like you need to help them. Like you're the best person to help them, right? Like who's the best agent? It should be you. And if it's not you, get out of the business.
That's a belief, right? So where did you form that belief?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
I am a really good agent. Like I give a shit about people. I don't care what the price of their house. Like I want to help them and I want to get paid.
And you believe you know you can help them.
No, I know I can. Yeah, I'm the best one to help them because out of like, I know a lot of really great agents, but like I'm an investor also, and I'm like a creative thinker. So if they have a problem, like we can come up with crazy shit to fix this problem if the traditional ways do not work. Like I'm not like a lot of agents are like a one size fits all, and that's fine if it fits. But if it doesn't fit, then we got to come up with something else. Like for example, so we have an FHA client that they're having trouble getting a house because they're not only getting outbid, but they're financing. People don't like it. So I was like, you know what? I'll buy the house. You can pay me. They're qualified. I don't mind holding owner financing. I've done it before, but
Mm,
people don't think about that necessarily. You know what I mean?
right. I love that. So do you think that creativeness is also what makes a really good investor as well?
I think so, yeah, because you can see deals and you can see opportunities that maybe like other people can't see. But I think a lot of people think they're problem solvers, but I don't know that they are. I think that's something that you learn. Like, I mean, I had a really strong influence from my parents and my grandparents. Like, they're very creative entrepreneur people. Like, that's all I've been through is like everybody has their own business. So nobody else in real estate. I'm the only idiot. But like, yeah, I mean, they just always had to come up with something and like something. It was always something. You know what I mean? It's never like, well, my boss told me to do this. Like that just didn't happen in my family. So I got lucky. I won the lottery.
You won the lottery. Before you jumped on, I want to kind of, I just talking about beliefs that we were chatting before we went live.
Mm-hmm.
You had this mindset, this belief about work.
Yeah.
And let's chat about that a little bit. I think this is really powerful for a lot of people that will listen to this, that are joining us now, but also will listen to this in the future. Mm-hmm. I think this is a really, really powerful get for a lot of people.
This is my like favorite because I mean, I'm so happy that I finally discovered this and I'm happy we're living longer. So like, I thought that if you were going to be successful, it meant having your own company, but not only that, it meant having like a big company, like a lot of people working for you. You're working all the time. You're working like 24/7. It has to be you, like really hands-on, blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, my family of entrepreneurs, that's what they were like. Like I got myself on the bus. I made my own lunch. I did my own laundry. Like when I'm like a kid, you know what I mean? Because they were always working.
Right.
I just assumed that's what you had to do. Fucking not true. It's amazing. So when I had like my, I guess, crisis and I was like, I got to get the hell out of Ohio and I can't just leave Ohio. I have to leave like the country and go for like a year, not like a day or a week. Right. It like opened up my eyes so much. And I realized like that is not, because I was upset. Like, I don't know if I was upset, but I was like burnout. I was tired. And I was like, this cannot be it. Like, I'm not even 40 years old. Like, is this my life? Like, this sucks. And I'm going to probably live. I mean, right now we're all going to live till we're like 100 or 120. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Be happy. So did the aha moment, but was it for you that traveling opened that up and that change?
Because I think what happened, now that we're talking about it, I think what happened is getting outside of like, I want to say like my comfort zone almost, like just getting outside of that and seeing how the rest of the world operated. And, every month I was in a different country, speaking a different language, and I barely know English. So I'm speaking like a different language or having to learn different customs, having to find out, how hard it is to go to a grocery store in another country? It's impossible. We spent hours there the first day and I still had to work. So it was like, we had to get there. We had to do all these things in the first 2 days. Then we had to get to work and like trying to find things. And I was like, you had to be adaptable. And I just realized like that year I worked, 4 or 5 hours a day, 5 days a week because we were having so much fun. And we like still did a shit ton of business. I was like, this is awesome.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Yeah. I think traveling opens up that creativeness so much, right? Yeah. Because you're forced to problem solve, right? You're forced to figure things out.
Yes.
And yeah, no, absolutely. Different experiences, different energy.
Yeah.
It's important to have those. And, for me, young, I was able to, not really get out of the States, but back and forth to California, family out there. And, even flying by myself, when I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. Right.
Yeah.
And
that's when you were allowed to.
Right. And then that was one of the things with our youngest, that, everywhere we go, he goes.
Yeah.
Right. And so like we went on a week, catamaran through the Virgin Islands we had 2 boats. He was 4 years old, bouncing around on the catamaran with all of us. And it's, just like nothing, it's normal.
That's awesome.
And so I think that was starting to understand that, and really trying to, like Nolly said, have those different experiences and get out more, because it just does. It changes your thinking and
right.
Allows you to know that there's so much more, and allows you to think bigger.
Exactly. And it's crazy. I mean, I've been part of Think Big groups and stuff like that. And even just getting, if you can't travel or you don't like to travel, just talking to people outside of your bubble, like getting connected with people that are doing things bigger than you and asking them questions and like just talking to them and seeing how they think. And it's like, dang, I didn't think about that. Like every day I talk to somebody, I'm like, wow, that's like just learning other people's perspective. Like, okay, that's awesome. Like that makes sense. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think like being open and not being judgmental, right? And trying to push your agenda on somebody else, but being there to listen. Yeah. And how do they see the world, right? What is their perspective? Yeah. And so I love that, when you travel more, you get different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. It's so many different perspectives. It's crazy. You're like, I mean, like we were in Japan. So in Japan, we were in Kyoto and Tokyo, and I hate Japan. I know people are going to hate me for that, but we are not friends. So I'm loud, and they don't like you to be loud. And they would always like X me. They like literally will do that to you. And I'm like, no. Anyway, so their culture is if you work all the time, and when you go eat, you like eat really fast, you slurp, you eat really fast. And then if you're on the train or you're at your desk and you fall asleep, it's like a good sign. Like, oh, you're working. Like it's a good sign. Like you're working very hard for your family. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Then you go to like Latin America or Europe and they have like siestas. I mean, they'll like in Portugal, they'll stroll in at like 9-ish. They'll take lunch at like, well, they do it later, but like we'll say 1 and like until like 3. Then they'll leave at like 5 or 6. And you're like, man, did you work at all today?
It's such different, right? I love that. I mean, it is. It's just different from a culture perspective. So we went out to St. Thomas last weekend, and I was telling Holly, so we traveled on Thursday, but we worked on Friday.
Okay.
And then we took all day Saturday off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then traveled again on Sunday.
It's awesome.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, right? Do it. I love it.
So amazing. So I think, in COVID, I think I have seen it fast, we collapsed like 5 years into like 14 months.
Right.
And starting to see agents that are figuring out how to do business virtually and succeeding at a high level. And I've got one client in particular, she unbelievable. I mean, they've bought a house down in Myrtle Beach. She's working, a couple months a year from there now.
Why not?
Since COVID. So she's EXP. She's going to hit Icon 3 times in the within 2 years of hitting. I mean, just that time frame. Icon, boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
But you know how many homes she's been in since COVID started? And she sold. I'm going to say she's sold. She's going to kill me for this, but I think it's over 50 homes in the last 12 months by herself. She's a solo agent.
Okay.
You know how many homes she's been in?
Probably not many.
2.
Yeah, right.
2
People
homes.
don't believe that.
2 homes.
Right. I agree. I mean, we sold like 50 and I never went in any of them. I mean, I was in like Morocco.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to do it, but people are starting to understand that now, because when I came back from traveling, there was another one of my colleagues, during half the time we were traveling, we were at Keller Williams, and another one of my colleagues and his wife were also traveling. And then when we came back, we were like, we should tell people how to do this. And we actually like attempted to do like a traveling realtor class or whatever. And people were like, well, you can't do that. You have to like be here. And I'm like, you really don't. Like, no, I did a deal with you and I was in here,
Yeah.
And they just wasn't very well received. But March of that year,
they were like,
was like,
Jen, teach me. How do I do this? How do I do this?
Exactly. I mean, we signed up for EXP when I was in Morocco. We signed up We were like, this is so easy. It makes all kinds of sense. Like,
Well, it aligns to what you're already doing, right?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was like perfect. I was like, this is what I've been looking for.
You know, there was there's a book that was written pre-COVID, and it's from it's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. And they just talk about what's coming. And remember, this was written pre-COVID, but they talk about real estate. They talk about all the different industries. And on the real estate section of that book, they speak specifically to EXP, and they say that this is the future of real estate. And they were talking about the avatars, and then they went into the avatar conversation of, you know, yeah, this is a fun little avatar here now, but just imagine what it's going to be in the year, you know,
right.
like where you're able to like picture a hologram of you avatar.
Yeah. Right.
And then, you know, being able to be inside of a robot, right? Being able to be somewhere. So it's just crazy, the things that they're talking about, all of the technology and the things that are coming. But they talked about EXP for that because of, they just talked about how easy it's going to be to commute.
Yeah.
With all of the innovations with flying cars and hyperloops and, you know, the self-driving vehicles and all the stuff that they put the whole puzzle together. And they said with real estate that's going to be EXP's the future in that book.
It is.
It's really cool.
It definitely is. So it's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. I'm going to get that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's really, really good. I think it's Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. So they wrote. So it's the trilogy. So they wrote the book called Abundance. Then they wrote Bold.
Okay.
And they might have went one order or the other, but then the third one is The Future is Faster Than You Think. And
awesome.
the book opens up. They're talking about flying cars, and it's awesome.
Well, I think too, if you are like a person that can get out of like your comfort zone, like you'll begin to see and talk to different people and travel and do all this stuff. Like you will start to see that, you know what I mean? Because right now, if you're stuck and you're doing the same thing every day and you've never left and like whatever, like you have a very like fixed mindset, like, and that's just, the world does change. It does change. It will change. So like you can either be reactive or you can be proactive.
Right. I love that.
Do you want to be?
I mean, that is that fixed mindset. And there's just so many people. I mean, it limits them. It limits their happiness with the fixed mindset.
But a lot of people, especially in the Midwest, we have this mindset of it's enough. And I had to get out of that. And that was something that I learned from like my time in the Mike Ferry organization is like in Ohio, well, in the Midwest, but I can only speak to Ohio. We're always like, well, it's enough. Fuck that. You know what? Get your unfair share. And if you don't want it, donate it. Give it to somebody else. Like do whatever. But like, it's the same thing about being an agent. It's like, get your unfair share because you know you're going to use it for good, or it's going to go to somebody else and they may use it for evil. Which would you prefer?
Right. I love that.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, it's a lot of, I don't know if is it a regional thing? Is it a cultural, is it a generational thing?
I don't know. It's definitely regional at least.
Yeah. And it's the other belief of, you know, you got to do it all yourself. That was a big shift for me. And it was in Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How, that really tipped me over the edge. I had already had that belief of knowing your value and doing things that, you know, you could better use of your time, right? Your dollar per hour worth. And it's like mowing the yard, you know, just think of all the little things that, you gotta be a man, you gotta mow the yard. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You know, so I think that's a huge
But if you like mowing the yard, that's fine. Do it.
Yeah, but you know, there's so much things that you could, you know, better use of your time. Unless
you're using that time as your down, like, if that's something that like you enjoy doing, that's what the time is for. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But like,
is that your recovery? Is that your kind of, renewal time?
Yeah. Yeah. But if it's something silly that you hate doing.
Right. You don't have to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's a huge mind shift. I remember when I got my first cleaning lady. I was like,
I love our cleaning lady. Yeah.
Now, I mean, before this apartment, I lived in less than 500 square feet. Okay. So it literally was like 15 minutes to clean the entire place, like top to bottom. But it was days of dreading it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, this is stupid. Let me just get the damn cleaning lady and be done. And like, yeah, it cost me too much money. But I'm like, but all of the money that I'm like making by not dreading it for 2 days.
You're not even thinking about it, right?
Right, I'm not.
You're thinking about other things. You're thinking about,
exactly.
What you're trying to accomplish. So no, I get it.
Well, it's called, there's an investment term and it's called opportunity cost. So it's like, yep. Yeah. So like, what are you missing out on by doing this thing? And that really, not only the dollar per hour, but plus opportunity costs, that it really connects it. Like, what should I not be doing?
Right. I love that. And, it's, Bill Gates, right? So Bill Gates' activity is that he always has a little pad, and every week he writes down everything that he did that week that he shouldn't be doing. Oh. And then he delegates it out. So nice. He just catches himself, right? It's like, if it's not pursuing the vision and what I am the best at, and I'm doing it, he takes note of it, right? So I think that's the missing piece, is that we all think about, oh man, I shouldn't be doing this, but we don't make a list of it and then delegate it and get it off of our plate. So it's just a really helpful exercise to be thinking about. Before I want to chat podcast, but before we jump there, just kind of wrap up the travel thing. Yeah. Show your app. So this is nuts.
Let me find it. Hold on.
So there's an app apparently that can track how much you've traveled.
Yeah, it's called Ben. No, there you go.
Ben. Okay.
So that's a picture of the world. Like, it's flat. But there, that's better.
Nice.
So it tells you, the orange is like all the places I've been. So I've been around the world, but I've still only been to 14% of the world. It's crazy.
That is amazing.
Like, I feel like I've been everywhere. And like, out of all of my, like, well, not my friends now, but before I traveled, I was like one of my only friends that even had a passport. You know what I mean? And like, they're like, I've never been there, but like 28% of South America, 28% of North America, and like 0 Antarctica. Have you been to Antarctica?
No, I haven't been to Antarctica.
And then like 3% of Africa, which that'll probably be about
it's funny. Yeah. I just, you said passport. I was like, dang, when Zane was 4, he had a passport.
Yeah, right. I had a passport growing up. Jeez. I mean, we traveled all the time, but a lot of people don't have one, and that's okay. You can still get, if you don't like traveling, you can still get perspective from other people to open up your world. You don't have to travel. It's just easier when you travel because you're forced into something. And I'm kind of hard-headed. Like, I can understand concepts, but until I'm like, can feel it and do it, and like until I'm like forced in it. Yes.
Yeah. It's like, like what Nolly was saying, you're in that energy, right? You're in that, you can feel it too, right? When you're in a different place, you're like, oh, this feels different. This feels. Yeah. So what's favorite place you've been?
I have 3. So my top 3 are Mexico City, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. They speak English there. And Hanoi, Vietnam.
Wow.
And my least favorite are Santiago, Chile, and Japan.
So why? So what makes your favorites the favorite? Why are they your favorites?
Well, all 3 of those are big cities. Like, they're very big. Like, in America, we think New York is big. No. You got to go to Asia. Asia's off the chain. Like, their cities are huge. So they're all big cities. They have that like energy of a big city. It's like cheap, easy to get around, good food, like solid people. Like, it's just a good, fun vibe.
That's awesome.
I also have a little boyfriend in each one of those, so that helps.
Of course, there had to be a reason.
Tinder's everywhere.
No, I do. I love the energy in New York City, and I could get down with that. We drove through Mexico City. We were in Acapulco, and had to take a change. We couldn't get our flight out, so we could get a flight out of Mexico City. So we hopped in the cars and took off. And that was interesting. That was an interesting journey.
Mexico City is so great. I mean, of course, like any big cities, like there's going to be bad parts of cities, right? But like for the most part, we were kind of all over. I felt safe, like, well, cool. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So my dad was in Vietnam, the Vietnam War, which over there, they don't call it the Vietnam War, which duh. But like, I didn't realize that until I got there. So the last time he was in Vietnam was during the Vietnam War. And so when I was going to Vietnam, he was like, so I heard you're going back to my old stomping grounds. I was like, that's super weird to say, but okay. He like built bridges over there for the army. So he gave me a list of these places and I was like, well, why don't you just come, And he's like, no. Like, he's like, I'm not going to come or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, I'll call you back. And I booked his flight. I called my mom and I was like, pull all of his like passport, pull everything. Like, he's coming, And then I called him and I was like, so I booked your flight, and he freaked out. He was not happy. And I was like, well, you're coming, like, just come. And so when he got there, he every day would call my mom and be like, we're moving here. I mean, he loved it. He swears it cured his PTSD. He loves Vietnam. Now it's all he talks about. He's like, we're going back. I'm like, oh,
that's awesome.
It was so fun.
That's awesome. My dad, was over there as well, but he won't talk about it at all. Like you even ask him questions, he'll just get up and walk away.
We should hook them up.
Yeah.
They can be buddies. Was he which branch?
I don't know. Like,
you don't even know.
I can't even get that out of him. I mean, he was in the army, but I don't know. We tried to get it out of him, but he just shuts down. So
yeah, we should hook them up, because my dad is like, he is convinced like it cured his PTSD, because then he talked. So there was 30 of us there traveling together, and I had him like give us a talk about how it is at the end of his trip with me, how it was before and how it is now. And it was just like amazing. He's like, they told us that we were like helping them. And he's like, and I see now we were not helping them. Like, they are fine. You know what I mean? Like, Vietnam feels more like America than like everywhere else in the outside of America. It's crazy. It's got a lot of American spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great.
Awesome. Hey, I want to chat a little bit about podcasting, because I know that's definitely a major platform for you right now, and kind of business-wise, the direction you're going. Mm-hmm. So kind of share with us a little bit your podcasting experience and the podcast, and we want to make sure everybody gets connected and subscribes to the show. So unpack it, because you guys have fun with it. You guys do, it's pretty cool.
Well, I like to talk. And I like to go irate. And so podcasting is like perfect. So it's me and Monica Weekly, and it's called Real Estate Fight Club. Now, it was called Realtor Fight Club, but we got a nasty letter from the NAR, which was my dream. Like, I can die now happy, because that was my dream, was to get like
frame the letter. You got to frame it. Yeah,
I should. It was an email, but I'll pull it up. Yeah, I'll frame it. I was so happy when it happened. And it happened fast too. So it's called Real Estate Fight Club. And we have 2 series a week. So the first one is like topics, like, should the buyer write a letter to the seller or whatever? And then the good thing is Monica and I will fight about it, because I'm more of a transactional cold caller, and Monica is more like the relationship, cuddle them. I call her a capital R. So we fight about it. I bring on another agent that also shares their perspective. So like, it's fun, it's like you get different versions and how people do things, and you learn stuff, and you laugh, and you cuss at your radio and all that. Not your radio. Nobody listens to the radio, your phone. And then the second series is on Wednesdays, and that is What Would You Do? So these are ethics and professional standards violations. And so we talk about, that's a good one. Those are good. Yeah. And then we're on Clubhouse on Thursdays at noon Eastern, if you want to like fight with us directly.
Yeah. It's so good. I really, applaud you guys for what you're doing. And I know you and I are working for you to be a little more strategic with it in the direction and where you're going with it.
Yeah.
But I think you guys have a great platform. It's fun, and you definitely provide, it's entertaining and educational.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you hit two of the big three that we always are striving for. The other is some inspiration. Maybe Monica gives some inspiration.
Monica's more inspiring. Yeah. But we actually started it when I was in Mexico. Like I bought this microphone on like Mexico Amazon Prime, and then I got like a renewal, but it was all in Spanish and I don't know Spanish. I was like, how do I cancel Mexico Amazon?
That's crazy.
Fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So I know right now, for you, you've been all over the place. You've done a lot, investing, real estate, but what's most important to you right now?
Right now, the most important thing to me is increasing my passive income through bringing agents into EXP, because honestly, for most agents, it's actually a much better place for them. So it's a win-win. And then also through investment properties, like that's like kind of my number one goal. I mean, I've been in real estate now for a while. I kind of just want to like try some different things, but I want to reach that goal first. So I'll be there. I think 3 years, probably. You're helping me. So with your help, a year and a half, a year, 10 months.
That's it. We're going to accelerate it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I love it. Guys listening in, make sure you guys tune in to Real Estate Fight Club with Jen and Monica. Just anywhere they can tune into podcasting, they can find the show.
They can actually find it everywhere. So Apple, Amazon, Pandora, like we're everywhere. It's on Facebook. We have a Facebook page too, if you would rather. But
yeah, make sure you guys go over there and like it, and follow Jen. She's fun, and where in the world is Jen? That's every time we get on the call, I'm like, hey, where are you at?
I wish I was somewhere. I'm supposed to be in Spain right now, but they won't let me in.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Soon. Things are starting to open up all over. So,
exactly.
Jen, I appreciate you jumping in. It's fun.
Thanks.
Almost 50 minutes. We just seems like we just started. So,
right. That was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you guys listening in. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. See ya.